Welcome, weary traveler, to a quiet journey into the very heart of the deep, cold ocean. As the world outside gently begins to quiet its ceaseless hum, allow your thoughts to drift, to settle, and to become as calm and still as the frigid waters we are about to explore. Tonight we embark on an extraordinary voyage, not of daring adventure, but of serene contemplation, as we delve into the whispered secrets of one of Earth's most enigmatic and ancient inhabitants, the Greenland shark. Picture, if you will, a realm of perpetual twilight, far beneath the shifting ice of the Arctic. It is a world where sunlight rarely penetrates, where the silence is profound, and where time itself seems to stretch and slow into an almost endless continuum. In these icy, inky depths, an unsettling and ancient creature drifts, a living testament to resilience and an enduring mystery. This is the Greenland shark, the largest fish to call the Arctic Ocean its home, and truly one of the most remarkable and mysterious sharks to be found anywhere on our vast planet. For centuries, those few humans who have encountered these magnificent beings in their cold, watery domain have often described them as ghosts, and it is not hard to understand why such an impression might arise. Their demeanor is sluggish, their movements deliberate, almost ethereal as they glide through the dark waters. Their eyes, often pale and seemingly lifeless, hold a particular haunting quality, a quality made even more striking by a curious, almost symbiotic relationship with a repulsive worm-like crustacean. This unique parasite, known as Ommoea elongata, often dangles conspicuously, a strange living ornament, right from the shark's eyes. It's an unsettling sight, yes, but also a profound indicator of how uniquely adapted these creatures are to their world, an adaptation that might seem like a disadvantage, yet clearly contributes to their extraordinary survival. Fishermen, in their rare and often accidental encounters, have sometimes recoiled from these creatures, not just because of their peculiar appearance, but because of a distinct, powerful odor, a smell reminiscent of urine. This scent, we will come to understand, is not a flaw, but another ingenious chemical marvel, an integral part of their survival in this extreme environment. And if one were to accidentally catch a Greenland shark, it is often best to release it, for its flesh holds a potent secret. It is toxic. Indeed, there are old tales of sled dogs having consumed large quantities of this flesh, becoming what is colloquially known as shark drunk. This is, I assure you, not a pleasant state, but a severe intoxication, bringing on symptoms that include hypersalivation, vomiting, explosive diarrhea, and even convulsions, often tragically followed by death. But the Greenland shark is far more than just these curious and, yes, at times unsettling characteristics. These creatures seem to defy the very rules of nature as we commonly understand them. Consider this: they navigate their world at an astonishingly slow pace, barely reaching 2 kilometers per hour. And yet, in the unforgiving landscape of the Arctic, they are considered a top predator, a silent hunter at the apex of their ecosystem. How can such deliberate, unhurried motion lead to such hunting prowess? This is one of the many profound questions that have long captivated those who study them. They are also the only shark species that can withstand the profound, relentless cold of the Arctic waters throughout the entire year, enduring temperatures that would be fatal to most other creatures. They can live at astonishing depths, plunging over 2,000 meters into the ocean's abyssal zones, where the water temperature can fall to a chilling -2 degrees Celsius. This remarkable ability to thrive in conditions of extreme pressure and cold is a testament to adaptations so unique. They push the boundaries of biological possibility. And then there is their age. Oh, their age. The Greenland sharks are ancient, in the truest, most literal sense of that word. So old, in fact, that it is highly probable there are individuals right now, drifting through the dark, icy waters, who were alive before Christopher Columbus first voyaged to the Americas, before Michelangelo painted the breathtaking ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, at a time when the Aztec and Incan empires still thrived in their magnificent glory. Scientists with painstaking research now estimate their average lifespan to be an astounding 272 years, but based on careful growth analysis, some individuals could very well be over 500 years old. This incredible longevity makes the Greenland shark, without a shadow of a doubt, the longest living vertebrate on Earth. Take a moment to truly absorb the profound sweep of that time. Imagine witnessing centuries unfold, generations of other creatures living and dying, entire epochs of human history passing by, all from the quiet, unchanging vantage point of the deep ocean. For centuries, the deepest secrets of the Greenland shark remained locked away, hidden beneath the impenetrable ice and within the profound shadows of their deep-sea home. They were a black box, a mystery waiting to be unveiled. But now, slowly, carefully, this black box is beginning to open, and its myriad mysteries are starting to reveal themselves to the patient curiosity of science. Why, we softly ask, is the Greenland shark so toxic? How is it possible for a creature of such deliberate slowness to be a top predator? What allows it to survive in both extremely deep and extraordinarily cold waters? And how, oh how, does it manage to live for such an unbelievably long span of time? These are the threads of our story tonight, threads we will gently unravel together as you drift deeper into relaxation. Let us first consider their sheer physical presence. Greenland sharks are among the largest shark species, typically growing to an impressive length of 6 to 7 meters, or 20 to 24 feet. To put that into perspective, that's roughly the length of a small bus. They are primarily found in the North Atlantic and Arctic Oceans, a testament to their cold water preference. However, occasionally, one might be found much further south, a truly rare sight. Recently, for instance, one was discovered as far south as the Caribbean, a truly lost wanderer in unfamiliar warm waters. Their cylindrical bodies, robust and powerful, can weigh up to 1,000 kilograms, or 2,200 pounds, a mass comparable to that of a great white shark. Despite these similarities in size, these two sharks, the great white and the Greenland shark, could not be more different in their fundamental nature and behavior. Whereas great whites are renowned for their incredible bursts of power, their blistering speed, and their dramatic high-energy hunting maneuvers, the Greenland shark operates on an entirely different scale of time and motion. Its top speed, even at its most energetic, is only around 3 kilometers per hour, a slow, almost graceful glide through the water, rather than a rapid chase. Yet, despite this remarkable sluggishness, Greenland sharks are surprisingly apex predators within their ecosystem. They are known to consume a wide variety of prey, from common fish like cod to the more agile and elusive seals, and even on occasion scavenge on whales. At first glance, this seems utterly impossible. How could such a slow, deliberate shark ever hope to catch a swift, agile marine mammal, a creature built for speed and evasion in the water? This question has long puzzled researchers. To delve deeper into this paradox, scientists like Eric St. Marie, a PhD candidate at the University of Windsor, have dedicated their research to understanding the hidden life of these mysterious sharks. He and others want to know if these sharks are primarily scavengers, feasting on animals that are already deceased, or if they are active hunters, pursuing and capturing live prey. Understanding this difference is absolutely crucial to grasping their true role and impact within the Arctic ecosystem. We know through various observations that they do indeed scavenge, taking advantage of carcasses in the deep. But there is also compelling evidence, often from Inuit hunters who have centuries of traditional knowledge, suggesting that these sharks might also actively hunt live prey. But how, you might wonder? Would such a feat even be possible for a shark that moves with such deliberate slowness? One of the leading theories put forth by researchers is a fascinating one. These slow-moving giants might be targeting seals when they are at their most vulnerable, while they are sleeping in the water column. Consider the life of a seal in the Arctic. Their biggest threat, perhaps even more than the shark, is the polar bear, a formidable predator that hunts on the ice. For a seal, it might be a safer gamble to risk sleeping in the water, a relatively secure refuge from polar bear predation, than to rest exposed on the ice. This vulnerability, this moment of quiet repose, might present a unique opportunity for a Greenland shark. Equipped with an incredibly powerful sense of smell, the shark might be able to approach an unsuspecting slumbering seal using a cryptic or ambush style of predation. Even though a seal, if it were fully aware and alert, could easily outswim a Greenland shark, the element of surprise, combined with the shark's silent approach, could turn the tide. Of course, this is still a hypothesis, and much more research is needed to fully confirm these hunting strategies. This is precisely what Eric and his colleagues are focusing on in their cutting-edge research. To learn more about the shark's hidden lives, they employ advanced tagging techniques. These tags are marvels of modern technology, silently collecting a staggering amount of information, between 16 and 100 data points every second. Imagine the rich tapestry of data, precise XYZ acceleration, ambient temperature, depth, and even in some of their newer, truly remarkable tags, a built-in sonar or hydrophone. Marine mammals, as it happens, are quite noisy in the ocean, communicating through a symphony of clicks, whistles and calls. Whales and seals can be heard quite clearly in the underwater soundscape. By combining the acceleration data from the shark with the acoustic information of nearby seals or whales, researchers can piece together subtle clues, glimpses into the shark's behavior, helping them determine whether it is actively pursuing live animals or simply drifting towards a silent, still meal. Whether hunting or scavenging, the Greenland shark's bite is a truly unique and powerful event, unlike almost anything else in the marine world. If the shark doesn't manage to swallow its prey whole, which it often attempts, its specialized teeth sometimes act like a giant hole punch. There have been observations of beluga whales swimming around with enormous, perfectly circular chunks missing from their bodies, stark evidence of a Greenland shark's distinctive feeding method. And within the stomach contents of a Greenland shark, scientists have occasionally found perfectly rounded pieces of flesh, further confirming this unique bite. Let us consider their impressive dental arrangement for a moment. The circular gape of a Greenland shark is made up of two distinct sets of teeth. The upper teeth are small and pointy, perfectly designed for gripping and holding prey. The lower teeth, however, are broad and square, almost like a series of razor blades lined up, forming a powerful cutting edge. These teeth are so remarkably sharp, so effective at severing and shaping, that historically in Inuit societies, cutting tools were skillfully crafted from Greenland shark jaws. This ancient wisdom passed down through generations highlights the practical ingenuity derived from observing and understanding the natural world, even from such a seemingly simple detail as a shark's teeth. Yet, despite their formidable teeth and their prowess as hunters, the idea of a Greenland shark actively hunting and catching seals remains somewhat surprising. This is because Greenland sharks are considered to be effectively blind, and the reason for this blindness is perhaps one of the most peculiar and strangely poetic reasons nature has ever conceived. It comes in the form of that particular parasitic copod we mentioned earlier, Ommoea elongata. This fascinating, if slightly unsettling, creature latches directly onto the shark's eyeballs. And these are not small, imperceptible things. No, these copepods are surprisingly large, growing up to 6 centimeters in length. They dangle there, swaying and dancing gently in the current, as the shark glides through the water, much like a strange flowing hair caught in the wind. It is a truly strange thing to have evolved, this very specific, almost theatrical, parasitic relationship. But whenever there is an opportunity in nature, a niche to be exploited, a parasite, somewhere, will inevitably find it. The rough skin of the Greenland shark, even rougher than that of many other shark species, which are already known for their sandpaper-like texture, might play a role here. It's possible that because the eyes are one of the few relatively soft spots on a Greenland shark, this vulnerable area became the specific target for this unique parasite to evolve and attach itself. This phenomenon of ocular parasitism is incredibly common among Greenland sharks. It is, in fact, almost a guarantee. In one comprehensive study that examined over 1,500 Greenland sharks from East Greenland, scientists found this peculiar parasite on an astonishing 98.9% of them. Almost every single shark carried these curious passengers. Some scientists now believe that these parasites damage the shark's cornea enough that the shark is in essence functionally blind, capable of only very basic light reception and a rough, indistinct formation of images. It's a world perceived through a constant hazy filter. You might logically think that such poor vision, this constant affliction of a worm crab attached to your eyeball, would significantly decrease the hunting and foraging success of the Greenland shark. But here lies another fascinating paradox. Clearly, they are all surviving and thriving just fine with this condition, as fine, one might say, as you can be with a large worm-like crustacean perpetually dancing on your eye. This leads to an important conclusion. The sharks might not actually rely on vision for their survival at all. Other senses, exquisitely tuned and highly developed, must compensate for this visual impairment. And indeed they do. If you were to look closely at the face of a Greenland shark, you would notice scattered across this area a multitude of tiny, almost imperceptible black dots. These are not blemishes, but highly specialized sensory pores, known as ampullae of Lorenzini. All sharks possess these remarkable organs along their snout, around their mouth, and on the top of their head. These pores are filled with an electrically conductive jelly, a natural medium for transmitting subtle energies. At the bottom of each pore, delicate hair-like cells called cilia stand ready. These cilia respond to minute changes in nearby electrical currents that are naturally generated by living creatures moving through the water. This electrical information is then transported by the jelly, triggering nerves that send signals directly to the shark's brain. The message is clear and vital. Something alive is nearby. This incredible electrosensory ability, however, operates over a relatively short range, typically effective from about 1 meter away. It serves as a precision tool, allowing the shark to lock onto its target in those critical final moments before an attack, a last silent confirmation of its prey's presence. To sense prey at longer distances, over the vast dark expanses of the deep, the Greenland shark employs an even more acute and fundamental sense, its incredibly powerful sense of smell. Its nostrils are conspicuously large, wide portals that connect the outer world of water currents and chemical signals directly to their internal sensory architecture. Within these nasal cavities lie highly folded sensory organs known as olfactory rosettes. These intricate structures act as the shark's primary smelling mechanism, capable of detecting the faintest traces of chemical signals in the water, guiding the shark through its dark domain. Interestingly, when scientists have studied the brains of Greenland sharks, they found that relative to their body size, they possess one of the smallest brains of all shark species. However, there is one significant exception to this general rule. Their olfactory bulbs, the parts of the brain specifically associated with the sense of smell, are notably larger than those found in many other sharks. This anatomical peculiarity strongly indicates that the Greenland shark relies far more heavily on its sense of smell than on other senses for navigating its environment and finding its sustenance. Guided by this extraordinary sense, these sharks travel far and wide, silent scent hunters in the eternal night. One particular study beautifully illustrates this vast roaming. The movements of several Greenland sharks were tracked for an impressive 11 months. During this period, every single shark traveled a minimum distance of 315 kilometers, and some journeyed as much as 1,615 kilometers. Imagine these silent, unhurried journeys, covering such immense distances, all while maintaining astonishing depths, often over 1,800. One important hint to their resilience comes from observing the different depths that a Greenland shark is capable of inhabiting. While we often think of them as exclusively deep-water species, they are actually incredibly versatile, able to occupy almost any depth, from the very deep abyssal plains all the way up to the surface waters. This flexibility is key to their success. An advantage that deep-sea sharks possess, which most other fish do not, lies in how they regulate their buoyancy. Most fish rely on a gas-filled organ within their bodies called a swim bladder to maintain their position in the water column. This is why, if you are fishing for deep-sea species and rapidly bring them to the surface, they often suffer severe trauma, sometimes even expelling their internal organs. The gas in their swim bladder expands dramatically as the external pressure decreases, causing catastrophic damage. This makes it incredibly difficult for fish with swim bladders to cover large ranges of depth quickly and safely. Sharks, however, do not regulate their buoyancy with a gas bladder. Instead, they have large fatty livers. These livers, filled with buoyant oils, allow them to regulate their buoyancy effectively. Crucially, these fatty livers are not significantly affected by the immense changes in pressure in the same way a gas bladder would be. This fundamental difference grants the Greenland shark the remarkable ability to traverse these vast ranges of depth, moving between crushing pressures and more moderate ones with relative ease. But simply lacking a swim bladder isn't quite enough to explain their astonishing deep-sea survival. At a certain point, the immense pressure of the deep ocean begins to cause fundamental changes at the molecular level. The delicate interactions between water molecules can become destabilized, and even the most robust proteins, the very building blocks of life, can begin to unfold as water penetrates their intricate structures. This can disrupt cellular function, even for fish without gas pockets, leading to a cascade of biological failure. And there is something else about the deep Arctic water that poses a grave danger beyond mere pressure: the extreme cold. Here, water temperatures can plummet to -2 degrees Celsius, or 28 degrees Fahrenheit. This is below the typical freezing point of fresh water. The ocean water remains liquid only because its salt content lowers its freezing temperature. But even at this frigid temperature, such extreme cold could still very much cause severe problems for the delicate tissues and vital proteins within the bodies of any animal attempting to live there. Even the hardiest proteins, essential for all biological processes, would cease to function properly without some form of chemical protection, some molecular shield against the relentless chill. And this is where the Greenland shark, along with some other deep-sea species, reveals another ingenious trick of nature. It comes in the form of a remarkable naturally occurring compound called TMAO, or trimethylamine N-oxide. TMAO acts like an internal shield within the shark's cells, protecting its precious proteins from the distorting, damaging effects of both freezing temperatures and incredibly high pressure. Think of it as a molecular bodyguard for vital biological structures. TMAO stabilizes water molecules, keeping them from crushing and deforming proteins under the immense pressure of the deep. Furthermore, TMAO plays a crucial role in helping to maintain the perfectly folded, three-dimensional structure of proteins. When exposed to extreme cold temperatures, proteins would otherwise unfold, losing their precise shape and consequently their vital biological function. This means, quite simply, that the more TMAO an organism has within its cells, the more pressure and cold it can withstand. It is therefore not at all surprising that the deeper a sea creature lives, the more TMAO is typically found in their cellular structures. The Greenland shark, along with its related species, the spiny dogfish, boasts among the highest levels of TMAO ever recorded in any marine animal. This chemical adaptation is a cornerstone of its ability to not just survive, but to truly thrive in such an extreme environment. And here we uncover another secret, linking back to that peculiar smell and the toxicity we discussed earlier. High levels of TMAO are also precisely what makes the Greenland shark poisonous if consumed. TMAO can metabolize into a compound called trimethylamine, which is the very substance responsible for the dangerous intoxication, the shark drunk phenomenon, that affects sled dogs, and historically, indigenous peoples who might have inadvertently consumed improperly prepared shark meat. So the very mechanism that allows the shark to survive in the deep is also its natural defense. Furthermore, TMAO plays yet another critical role. It counteracts the effects of urea-induced protein denaturation. This is incredibly important because the Greenland shark retains high concentrations of urea within its tissues. Urea, a waste product that in most animals is quickly excreted, is held onto by the Greenland shark to maintain osmotic balance and prevent dehydration in the incredibly salty seawater. Without this internal regulation, the shark would lose vital water to its surroundings through osmosis. And yes, it is this very urea that contributes to the distinctive, almost acrid smell of pee that fishermen sometimes recoil from. So with their stabilized proteins, their osmotically balanced bodies, their exquisite chemical, electrical, and olfactory sensory abilities, Greenland sharks drift through the abyss, largely unbothered, perfectly adapted, moisturized, and truly in their lane, as it were. They are so remarkably well adapted to this unique environment, this specific niche, that they can exist within it for not just years, not just decades, but for entire centuries. This profound longevity, this deep time, is perhaps their most astonishing characteristic of all. The first tantalizing hint at their extended mortality came almost a century ago. In 1936, a Greenland shark was caught, and its length was carefully measured at 2.77 meters. It was then tagged, a common practice in marine research, and gently released back into the vast open ocean, a relatively standard scientific procedure. But then, 16 years later, something incredibly lucky, almost miraculous happened. Scientists caught the very same shark again. This time it measured 2.86 meters in length. It had grown a mere 9 centimeters in 16 years, just half a centimeter per year. This was a glacially slow growth rate, almost imperceptible. To put that in perspective, a great white shark, for comparison, can easily grow half a meter per year. Scientists began to do the mental arithmetic, the simple calculations. At such an incredibly slow rate of growth, a full-grown 6-meter-long Greenland shark would logically have to be many centuries old. This was an astounding, almost unbelievable conclusion for the time. However, verifying this radical hypothesis was simply not possible with the scientific tools available then. For many, the idea of an animal living for so long was simply too wild, too extraordinary, to believe without concrete proof. But recently, this long-standing assumption, this intriguing hypothesis finally received undeniable backing, supported by concrete, scientific evidence. In 2016, a team of pioneering scientists in Denmark published a breakthrough paper that illuminated the secrets of Greenland shark longevity. Their method was revolutionary, focusing on a unique aspect of the eye lens crystallins. These are a class of structural proteins found within the lens of the eye, in both humans and sharks. They are responsible for making up the eye's lens and giving it its crucial transparency and focusing power. What is truly unique and scientifically valuable about these lens crystallins is that, once formed, they remain remarkably constant throughout a person's, or in this case, a shark's, lifetime. They are not replaced or significantly remodeled. They are, in essence, a time capsule, and like all organic molecules, they contain carbon, including a small, but measurable, amount of the radioactive isotope carbon-14. Carbon-14 occurs naturally on Earth, primarily created when incoming cosmic rays from space strike atoms in our atmosphere. But in recent decades, humans, through our technological advancements, or perhaps more accurately, our destructive capabilities, dramatically increased the levels of carbon-14. This was largely thanks to nuclear weapons testing. Huge spikes of carbon-14 can clearly be seen in the global atmospheric record, particularly during the 1950s and 1960s, when nuclear weapons testing reached its peak. By carefully comparing the levels of carbon-14 within a person's crystalline lenses to these historic records of carbon-14 in the atmosphere, these Danish scientists found a remarkably precise way to determine a deceased person's date of birth. It was a scientific breakthrough with profound implications. The crucial question then became, could this ingenious method be applied to the Greenland shark? In 2016, the answer was revealed to be a resounding yes. The scientists embarked on a monumental task, using radiocarbon dating to assess the ages of 28 Greenland sharks, varying in size from 52 centimeters to an impressive 502 centimeters in length. The results were truly astonishing and confirmed what many had long suspected. The smallest two sharks, those born after the nuclear bombs, had deposited that extra carbon-14 into the atmosphere, and subsequently, into their developing eyeballs, naturally had the highest levels of carbon-14 in their lenses. This made perfect sense, indicating they were relatively young, probably less than 60 years old. But the larger sharks, the truly ancient ones, told a different, much older story. They had significantly less carbon-14, and their radiocarbon signatures revealed ages that were much, much older. The scientists were able to determine the age of the largest pre-bomb shark, a true elder of the deep, to be an incredible 392 years, with a margin of error of plus or minus 120 years. This means, conservatively, that this particular shark would be at least 272 years old, and potentially as old as 512 years. This study conclusively established the Greenland shark as the longest-lived vertebrate on Earth. The researchers also made another striking discovery: the age of sexual maturity for these sharks. They determined that Greenland sharks reach sexual maturity at a remarkably late age, at least 156 years old, with a margin of error of plus or minus 22 years. At the upper end of this range, it means a Greenland shark might not be ready to reproduce until it is nearly 200 years old. This, combined with their glacial growth rate of around 1 centimeter per year, a pace so slow that tectonic plates drift apart twice as fast, paints a picture of a creature that exists on a timescale almost incomprehensible to us. Imagine, if you can, the profound reality of a Greenland shark, slowly, deliberately drifting through the freezing, dark, deep water, with those curious worms attached to its eyeballs, for not just a lifetime, but for centuries. Imagine generations upon generations of every other creature in its environment living and dying, even evolving right beside it. The sheer existential fatigue, one might imagine, would become almost unbearable for a human mind. A life seemingly stripped of its urgency and passion, simply drifting, endlessly, in the eternal darkness, within its scent-filled body. Though I suppose they are probably not too concerned with such philosophical ponderings. But if one believes in reincarnation, and perhaps also has some karmic debts to repay, then perhaps, just perhaps, you should be a little worried. Philosophy aside, the Greenland shark truly does something that no other vertebrate on our planet can do. And this leaves us all asking the most profound question: how does this creature achieve such an unbelievably long life? One compelling explanation, and one that resonates deeply with the slow, deliberate pace of its existence, comes back to its glacially slow metabolism. A slower metabolism, simply put, produces less oxidative stress and less cellular damage over time. When the body is burning energy at a slower, more deliberate rate, there is less wear and tear on its delicate tissues and vital organs. This reduction in cellular damage is now widely considered a key factor in the process of aging. It's a pattern that we can observe elsewhere in the animal kingdom, offering tantalizing clues to the mechanisms of longevity. Consider the bowhead whale, another magnificent creature of the Arctic waters. These whales also possess a slow metabolism, and they too are known to live to be over 200 years old. Or think of the Galapagos tortoises, creatures renowned for their long lives. They have a naturally low metabolic rate, an adaptation that helps them survive the harsh, resource-scarce environment of the Galapagos Islands, allowing them to live for anywhere between 100 and 200 years. Even the naked mole rat, a small, unassuming rodent, has a remarkably slow metabolism, an adaptation to deal with the low oxygen, underground environments they inhabit. And for a rodent, their lifespan is extraordinary, often reaching 30 years, a significant achievement in the fast-paced world of small mammals. The Greenland shark simply takes this principle to an unprecedented extreme. But to truly understand the precise, intricate mechanism of how the Greenland shark lives for so astonishingly long, we need to delve even deeper, right into the very blueprint of life itself, its DNA. This, of course, is easier said than done, but dedicated scientists have begun the daunting, yet incredibly rewarding, task by sequencing the Greenland shark's entire genome. And when they did, they found something quite surprising. Their genome is enormous, a truly vast genetic library. It contains about 6.5 billion base pairs, the fundamental units of DNA. For reference, we humans, with all our complexity, have approximately 3 billion base pairs. This makes the Greenland shark's genome the largest of any shark that has been sequenced to date, a genetic tome filled with untold secrets. But even more surprising was what this enormous genome was composed of. More than 60% of it was made up of what scientists call transposable elements, also known, rather evocatively, as jumping genes. These jumping genes have historically had a rather terrible reputation in the world of genetics. They are DNA sequences that possess the remarkable and sometimes disruptive ability to move from one location to another within an organism's genome. They can, quite literally, jump to a different spot. This movement can sometimes cause mutations, altering the genetic makeup of the cell and potentially leading to disease or developmental issues. And yet here we have it, the longest-lived vertebrate on Earth is absolutely teeming with them. This paradox is a profound area of ongoing research. The researchers working on this fascinating puzzle have put forth an intriguing hypothesis. They suggest that the Greenland sharks might be cleverly hijacking the very machinery of these jumping genes, not for disruptive mutations, but for a highly beneficial purpose: They might be using them to duplicate genes involved in DNA repair, essentially copying and pasting more of the beneficial genes that are crucial for counteracting things like cancer and other forms of cellular damage. Imagine a kind of internal genetic self-repair mechanism, constantly reinforcing its own integrity. But for now, this remains a compelling hypothesis, and many more studies need to be done to confirm this truly extraordinary genetic adaptation. One particularly fascinating way to learn more about the Greenland shark's peculiar DNA and its secrets of longevity will be to compare it to its closest evolutionary relative, the Pacific sleeper shark. This shark looks and behaves in many ways much like the Greenland shark, inhabiting similar cold, deep waters. However, it does not live anywhere near as long. By comparing their genomes, scientists hope to pinpoint the exact genetic differences that bestow such immense longevity upon the Greenland shark. So, while we don't yet have all the definitive answers as to precisely how the Greenland shark lives for such an unbelievably long time, there are a few clear and compelling answers as to why. We know from observing life across the animal kingdom that animals that face high extrinsic mortality, meaning significant threats from external factors like constant predation and widespread infectious diseases, have to develop quickly. They follow a life strategy, often summarized as live fast, die young. They do this so that they can pass their precious genes on to the next generation as quickly and as frequently as possible before they succumb to these external threats. It's a race against time, a desperate dash to ensure the survival of their genetic legacy. Animals, however, that experience low extrinsic mortality, those that face few predators and are relatively immune to widespread diseases, can afford to adopt a very different life strategy. They can delay their development, they can delay reproduction, and in doing so, they can extend their lives, pushing back the inevitable march of death itself. This fundamental principle perfectly illuminates the Greenland shark's remarkable existence. It simply shows that not much is bothering the Greenland shark in its deep, cold, dark realm. It faces very few predators, if any, once it reaches its immense size, and it appears to be remarkably resistant to many diseases that plague other, more vulnerable creatures. The Greenland shark, it seems, only has to deal with one thing: the slow, crushing, unrelenting weight of time itself. And it does so not by fighting against it, but by embracing it, by slowing everything down to an almost geological pace, allowing the centuries to simply wash over it. As we bring our quiet journey to a close, let the profound story of the Greenland shark settle gently in your mind. This ancient wanderer of the deep, a living